Yesterday, I made a pretty, let's say, emotional ban list reaction on the points list that dropped yesterday. I was not really amused about what Konami did in the points list, and I thought they could have done way better. But yeah, that's how it is. I just said my opinion, and some of you agreed with me, some of you did not agree with me, which is totally fine. I think that's the cool thing about YouTube, that you can say your opinion and everybody can also tell you theirs in the comments. So that's a really cool thing. Yeah, obviously it was kind of sad that they hit Branded pretty hard, but it's still playable. And yeah, I'm gonna talk about the stuff that got hit today, about the meta impact that this list had. About decks that did not get hit really hard on this list, and what they lose. But yeah, I also talk about the decks that lose a lot and how they could adapt. All right, we will just start with the obvious one. The deck that got really hit hard on this points list. It's Vanquish Soul. Vanquish Soul, I actually grabbed the list here from Wadio Pro deck, and I just put it in their deck profile creator, and this was the list from before the hit. It got 100 points exactly, and now it's 290 points. So they raised the Holy Sue, they raised the Raisin, and also the Jiaolong. Holy Sue was a 10 before, Jiaolong and Raisin were at 0. So if they want to make this deck playable again, they have to go down. They cannot play Pot of Extravagance anymore because this one also went up. They cannot play Ash Blossom anymore because their engine went up, and they can also not play the impulse engine anymore. This is like a super heavy hit. They even if you they also have to cut Nash Knight, they have to cut Drawn Lockbird, they have to cut Book, right? Even if we cut all this non-engine, we are still at 165 points. So we also have to cut on our engine. So you cannot play Raisin if you want to play 3 Holy Sue. Yeah, so you kind of have to cut on the Holy Sue because the Raisin is only 11. So you kind of have to cut 2 Holy Sue to be able to play a 3 Jiaolong and also 3 Raisin. And then you cannot play any non-engine anymore. So you can also not play the Nash Knight. So this is a super hard hit on the Vanquished Soul deck. As you can see now, if we only have 1 Holy Sue, 3 Raisin, and 3 Jiaolong in the deck and nothing else, right? Now we are at 99 points. Now we can afford like 1 point of a non-engine. So it will be kind of interesting how they how Vanquish Soul players will adapt to this. Will they cut some Jiaolong? Will they have something else they can play? But yeah, I think this is a super strong hit, and I'm interested in how Vanquish Soul players will actually adapt to that. For the next deck that actually got a huge hit on this list, it's the Exosister deck. As you can see, this is a standard list from before, and it had 194. It has now 194 points. Before it had 100 points, and yeah, they got actually points on the Exosister Pax. They got points on the Michaelis, which is a super important card, and they got points on the Sayori Hime, which is also a star for them and a super important card. So they have to cut 94 points. So I think they will not be able to play Thunder King Ryo anymore. So they have to cut this. Then I don't think they want to cut on Pax because this helps their consistency, but they will probably only play 2 Michaelis, but I think they at least need 2 because this hits their consistency. They won't be able to play Dragon Smite or Solemn Scolding anymore because they also cost points now. Also, I think they will cut Solemn Strike and Judgment, and yeah, then they still have to cut some stuff. If they cut everything else, they still will be able to play Shifter, right? So they can play 1 Darkhold, 2 Michaelis, and yeah, 3 Shifter, and then they can play their full engine. So if we only play 2 Michaelis, we can still play 3 Shifter, but if we want to play 3 Michaelis, we can only play 2 Shifter now. So I think this is a super significant hit. So I had to remove almost every of the non-engine cards to be able to make this deck under 100 points again. So yeah, this is also a super significant hit, and I also think Exosister is one of the huge losers of this points list update. Now let's talk about the Megalith deck. Megalith also received a huge hit. They got the Megalith Anastasis to 33 points. So yeah, they won't be able to play easily free of this, because if we look at the points of this deck, it now is at 198. So we have to cut 98 points of our list. Also, the Manju received some points, which is yeah, not the worst thing in the world, but it's kind of annoying for the deck. So I think the deck has to cut, if they can afford, one or two of the Anastasis if they want to still play non-engine. But if they want to play non-engine, if they don't want to play non-engine like a full consistent deck, they can only play like two of the Anastasis if they still want to play Manju. If they want to play three of the Anastasis, they can only play one Manju now. So yeah, let's see how this deck adapts. If I cut two of the Anastasis and I don't know, two Purulia right here, we are still at 112, so we have to, yeah, maybe cut the Typhon or maybe cut one more Ash Blossom. Yeah, if I cut one more Ash Blossom right here, we're at 97 points, so this will be playable again. So this is, yeah, actually a huge hit to the deck to get the points on Anastasis to 33 points. So yeah, this is also definitely a huge loser, and yeah, the players of Megalith have to see how they can adapt to this and how they want to play their deck in the future. Now for Memento did not get did not receive a direct hit to itself, but if we look at one of those standard lists, it now is at 163 points. So we already have, for Memento, we have the Mementolan Twin Dragon and the Mementolan Tekhulika, I don't know how to pronounce the name, and also their quick play spell at 33 points. So people just did the thing that they did not play the quick play spell, just played those two in the extra deck, and then filled their deck with non-engine. Now they have the problem, if they want to play the Goblin Bikers spell, which is now at 7 points, they have to cut some points from their deck. Also, this list did play Nash Knight before, so they won't be able to afford Nash Knight, and some of the cheap non-engine that they played, like Flying Sea, they also have to cut right here because they cannot afford to play them anymore, because they also got points. And now if we cut all of this, we're still at 170 points. So I think they kind of have to cut Droll or Book of Eclipse. Book of Eclipse is an exceptionally good card in this deck, so I don't think they want to cut it. But even if we cut the Droll, we still have to cut one Eclipse to be able to play this deck again, if we still want to play free Goblin Biker Grand Breakout. So I think this is also a super huge hit to Memento. Yeah, kind of interesting how Memento will adapt to that. I think Memento could adapt to that. I think that the engine is super strong, and they could play some more of their own engine cards that are weaker. But yeah, and I think was the whole point of raising the points of Goblin Biker Great Breakout to also hit Memento, because this also dodges like effects like Imperms and Whalers. So this is a huge and strong card. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing how Memento will adapt, and if it's able to adapt to this super huge hit to the deck. Another deck that also received a huge hit because of the increase of Goblin Biker Grand Breakout is actually Goblin Biker itself. Also, they got Terratop, which went to 7 points, which is also a hit to the Goblin Biker deck. But one good thing happened. You got Flying Sea to 7 points, so this one will not hit you as strong anymore. But on the other hand, we have Nip that got decreased to 5 points, so this is also a slight hit to the deck. I think this hurts deck because it wasn't the strongest before, and now it won't be able to play because they already had the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance at 33 points. So this does hurt the deck. So they will have to cut on some non-engine now. If we look at this, we're at 125 now. So they also played the Cicada King and also the Totem Bird. So this is also a hit to them, and also this deck in specifically played creature swap. Maybe they won't be able to do that anymore. Maybe they also cut those two. I don't know how important they are. If they're not that important, they could cut them. If they are super important pieces of their end board, they maybe want to spend the 8 points for the Cicada Knight and the other. And then we're still at 114 points, so we have to cut something more because the Teratop increase was also a huge thing. So we kind of have to cut a playset of Droll or a playset of Nip. Maybe we cut the Droll here, so we're now at 99 points. So yeah, this one has to cut some non-engine, some of the extra decks, so it's also a pretty big hit to a deck that wasn't that strong before. So yeah, let's see how Goblin Biker will adapt. I think this deck can actually adapt because there are a lot of good rank 3 engines or level 3 engines in this game, so I don't think this deck will be dead in any means. I think will be able to adapt. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Branded. As I said in my reaction, I thought that Branded was slaughtered on this list. It got some crazy increases. If we look at this again, we have the Fallen and the Virtues from 0 to 15. Albion the Branded rank, which hurts actually the most, to 20. Titaniclet 10, Sprint Dash, the Iron Dragon 10, Grangunyol also, which actually doesn't even mention the Albus to be able to send with Fallen Virtues, because the theory of a lot of people was that they wanted to have every target for Fallen and the Virtues to have points, right? So, but Grangunyol doesn't even mention him, so I don't really know why. Brigand the Glory Dragon is also 10. Dragon that there was a Drogma, the new card, also 10, but they got Rebellion decreased and Merge decreased, but Fusion to 40 and Mercuria 0 to 5, which is not on the side. So yeah, but still they got Mercuria to 5 and Masquerade also to 16. So they did got a lot of hits, but let's just take a look at this as one of a standard list. It now is not 100, it's 275 now. So to be able to play this deck, we don't have to cut as much from the main deck. We have to cut the Fallen and the Virtues, which is super sad because it's new and now you cannot play it. You cannot even play one because there's so much point increase. We have to cut every non-engine card that has points, and we also have to cut yeah, one of those. Probably it will be Incredible Ecclesia. But we are still at 212 points, so we have to cut at least 2 Albion. We have to cut both of the Masquerade. We have to cut Titaniclet. We have to cut Grangunyol. We have to cut Sprint the Iron Dragon, and also from the side deck you cannot play Flying Sea anymore, so you're worse against tower decks, and now you're at 89 points. And now because Lubellion got decreased, we can now play Lubellion, which is actually super needed, because if we look at the extra deck now, it's it's super small. There's this nearly extra deck now left, but now we're at 99 points, so this deck is still playable, but the grind game got infinitely worse. The only saving grace, right, is that Lubellion is now playable at 10 points. Without Lubellion, this deck would have been like super dead, because there's also a huge problem that that this brings. Branded High Spirits now got a lot worse because the Branded deck is not able to play the Titaniclet. You cannot play that anymore to send it for dragons. So Branded High Spirits got a lot worse, because now you can only special summon Quime with Ludova Lilith, which you have to send over Grangunyol, and you also have to play Grangunyol over Titaniclet because you want to use Fusion Deployment, because If you don't have Granular in your extra deck, you cannot special Cartesia with diffusion deployment because you need that as a target. So yeah, also Mirror Jade gets a lot of worse when you don't have Albion in the graveyard to search for follow up with him in the next turn. So if you end on Mirror Jade, use the effect of Mirror Jade. You have to send Albalenatus now, which can search you polymerization, I guess, right? But it's not the same as searching a branded spell trap. So also those combos where you make like multiple Mirror Jade got so much worse because you don't have targets in your extra deck left that you want. You have Rindbram, you have Albalenatus, and you don't have Albion in the opponent's turn because you have to shuffle it back first. So yeah, I also found a combo where I can shuffle back the Albion in the own turn, but you don't want to shuffle it back in the own turn because you want to trigger in the end phase. So you can maybe shuffle it back in the end phase, but yeah, this has to be experimented with. And but yeah, this was definitely a hit to Branded. I saw some videos where they said, yeah, Branded got buffed because now they have Lubellion, they have a stronger one, they have a stronger going first combo now because they can use Lubellion to send Tragedy. That's kind of true, right? But you will run out of resources super fast, and your Lubellion, the Lubellion doesn't save everything, and your Mirror Jade is not the same card as before. So this got nerfed because all of its target got nerfed. So yeah, also not being able to play Mercuria anymore is also a huge hit to this deck, because now it's worse into Shifter. Yes, you can send a Tragedy, but under Shifter you want to go into Rindbram, send the Tri-Brigade Mercuria, and then be able to search from that. Yeah, it was also a huge interruption to search that. I think this deck will still be playable, but it will be way worse, like a lot worse than before. This is my opinion on that. I said yesterday it got slaughtered. Yes, it got slaughtered, but I think it's not unplayable. It will be playable. I will also make a list with it, and you will be able to win games, but it's way harder than before. And also your grind game got slaughtered, right? And you have now, if you make one mistake with your recycling, this is over. Also, only having one Grangonol also doesn't help this. Yeah, but let's see what it brings. And yeah, that's my opinion on Branded. It got hit, but it can still be played. Okay, now from the decks that got a huge hit to the decks that got a slight hit and maybe like a wrist slap, but are still like perfectly fine and can easily adapt to the points increase they got. The first one of those decks is Punk. As you can see, this was a standard list from before the points list update. It now is at 122 points because we got Foxy Tune to 5 points. So they have to adapt a bit, and also this list in particular played Upstart Goblin, so this one also got its points increased, so they will be just able to cut the Upstart Goblin. Then they're at 113 points, and then we can also cut, I don't know, one Ash Blossom, and then the stick's totally fine, right? So they could also cut Gamma and play some other hand traps, right? So I don't think Punk has any problem, or Punk Goldbright has any problem to be played anymore. So they only have to cut like one Ash Blossom from their deck, and then they will be able to play their deck again. So this was just a slight slap on the wrist, but not a real hit. For the Artmage deck, we only had one change, which was the Never the Power Patron of Creation to 5 points. Yeah, this is just a one-off in this deck, so this doesn't matter at all. I think they only have to like cut one non-engine card, which maybe one draw or whatever they want to cut. This list got hit because of the Branded hit. This is why it has 120 points, because they played one Cartesia and one Grangonol if they just cut this. And I don't know, also they got hit because of the Super Poly Super Poly increase, right? So if they just cut one Super Poly, they can now I don't know, put into their deck to Ghost Mourner or something like that, because this one got decreased. So I don't think this deck got hit at all, because they can easily change whatever they want and adapt to this. There's like not a real problem for this deck. Yeah, it kind of sucks to be able that they have to now spend points on Cartesia if they want to play it. But let's be honest, this engine is super cheap. They can afford 13 points to be able to still play Fusion Deployment to their full potential, to be able to special Meteors or Cartesia, but they don't have to. They can just put hand traps in their deck and don't care about that. So I would not consider a 5 points increase on a one-off card a hit. So I don't think this got hit at all. I think this is still full power with only 5 points on this. So yeah, Artmage, they don't have to adapt. They just have to cut one card, right? So yeah, let's go to the next one. So the Odion deck, I think, got a bit harder than it looked at the first sight of the eye, because if we look at this standard list right here, it now has 231 points, but it's because they played Evosal Lars at 2, which is now super expensive, though, so they will not play that anymore, I think. Also, they played the Nerva, the Power Patron of Creation, so they will not play that anymore. And the hugest hit for this deck, I think, is not the field spell, it's the Pot of Extravagance. So they won't be able to play the Pot of Extravagance anymore. So, if they play it, they have to cut non-engine, right? They have to cut evenly or droll or whatever, right? So there is... let's see if they they also have played all the C's in the side deck, so those also won't be as cheap now. So also Iron Thunder is not cheap anymore, so this also hurts. But if they just cut all their side deck cards and play something else, we are just at 130 now. So if they now maybe cut the pot, but I don't think they will cut the pot. Let's say they cut the 2 droplet and also I don't know, 1 evenly. Now they're at exactly 100 points. So it looked a bit like a harder hit in this list, but I think the hardest hit is not the hit on the Treasures of the Kings, which is only 5 points. 15 points is like fixable, I think, but the harder hit is like the Pot of Extravagance. So now they have to actually choose if they want to play this or play non-engine, which I think is kind of fine that they received the Pot of Extravagance hit. So, but to the engine, only 5 points. This is not the hugest hit, I think, but they still will be able to adapt. I think there's like no reason that this deck won't be playable. I actually call it a hit here because of the Pot of Extravagance together with the field spell. Is a significant hit, but this is easily adaptable, I think. The Generaider deck kinda got slightly hit. They got some cards to 1 point, which is just for them to not be able to play True King of All Calamities anymore. If they just cut the True King of All Calamities, it's only like 28 points. If we also cut now the Upstart Goblin, we are for the full engine. If we also cut the cards from side deck, it's only 9 points. They still have like 91 points to spend on non-engine. So I would not consider this a huge hit. It's a hit, but it's only 9 points. They can still play whatever they want, but they cannot play WFD anymore, and this is a super important thing, and I think this is the hugest hit to the deck, that they won't be able to play WFD anymore. They have to kind of win on a fair way now, which is a good thing, but Generaider itself, this does not hurt to have to spend 9 points on your engine. You still have a lot of points left to be used on non-engine. Also, there is no more Flying Sea in this format, which actually helps this deck a lot. So yeah, I think overall, losing WFD but not having to play into Flying Sea anymore, I think it's overall even, so I don't think this matters too much, this 9 points. One of the decks I think that got the slightest hit is the Radiant Typhoon deck. It did not get a hit to its engine itself. They just hit it some of the extra deck cards. they cannot play easily Lars anymore. I think they will cut that for 20 points. And they got on Cicada King and also on the Totem Bird hit. So I think they will just play one now, and then they are at 109 points. And maybe they have to cut now because they want to play those cards in the extra deck, the Pot of Greed, or they could also just cut the draws from side deck. So now they're at 99 points. They can still play 3 Pot of Greed. They can still play 1 Cicada King, 1 Totem Bird, and 1 Leviathan Generator Boss of Shadows. So I would not consider this deck being hit on this ban list. I don't think this was a hit at all. They can still play their deck perfectly fine without anything. I think the biggest hit to this deck was that they cannot just play Fallen in the Virtues, right? I think this was the biggest hit to this deck, because this deck would have loved to play Fallen in the Virtues, but they cannot. They just have to play this deck as before the Fallen in the Virtues came out. But they can also incorporate Fallen in the Virtues, but then they have to cut Pot of Greed. So they have to decide what they think is better, right? But I would not consider this deck getting a hit on this list, because this increase is like, yeah, it's a bit of a joke, right? So this deck can easily adapt. There's no problem to adapt at all for the Radiant Typhoon deck. For Fire King, though, we got an indirect hit, which is the Rescue Ace Impulse if they want to play it, and also the Pot of Extravagance, which is now 10 points, and they won't be able to afford playing this anymore, which is actually a huge hit to the deck. I think if we cut this and also the Rescue Ace Impulse, we are exactly at 100 points, so they won't be afford to play any non-engine that's expensive, and also no more pots. So I think this deck will be able to adapt. Maybe they play some more direct cards or whatever. I don't think this deck is dead by any means, so this will be able to adapt. But they lose a lot of consistency and draw engines. So yeah, they have to keep that in mind, and not being able to just draw 2 cards kind of hurts, I think. But I don't think this deck is dead. It can still be played. Yeah, but the Onomat deck, though, actually received some hits, which do have impact, I think. They got 7 points on Dodo Warrior, which, yeah, just straight up makes the deck 21 points more expensive. And also another huge hit is to number 99 Autobia Dragonar. This was one of their main endboard pieces if they did not play the Rongomyat. But yeah, they cannot play this anymore, so they have to cut that, and then they are still at 142 points. So I think they, yeah, also have to cut Flying Sea from their deck, also not be able to playing that easily anymore, and also probably something like Chalice, and maybe they also cut Onomatopia, if that's possible. I don't really know if they can play without it, but if they don't want to cut it, they just have to cut in some more hand traps, right? And yeah, one more, and then they're at under the 100 points. And if they cut some more hand traps, they can still fit in the Rongomyat. I do know that not a lot of people play this, but now that they lost their main interruption card, that their main endboard piece, maybe now they have to play Rongomyat to be able to adapt to the format and maybe cut some more non-engine. But I don't really know if they still want to play this card, or if they even now even more want to play this card. But we also have to keep in mind Flying Sea is removed from most of the side decks, so this deck will have a lot easier time to play now without being able to without even having to worry for Flying Sea. But also Nip got decreased, so this could be a problem for the deck. So I think this deck actually got a hit, and but it's still, I think, will be able to adapt. I don't think this deck is unplayable now. And also, yeah, Rongomyat did not get hit. It's still they still able to build this card and to build this Toxic Tower going first. It's still possible to do this with this deck. And I also want to talk about two decks that got not hit by the list, but they got helped by the list. So um, the first one is Lunalight, and as we can see, Tanky moved down from 40 to 35, so they will have now 10 more points they can spend on something else. So this deck I think is a toxic one. I'm not a friend of the Lunalight tower, the Liger Dancer. This is a super toxic card, and yeah, this deck is hit by the nature of the Genesys format that it won't be able to play pendulum cards. But yeah, now they can play more easy tanky. So yeah, this got just better from this deck. From this change. Also, there is no more retaliating sea to stop this deck, so this also helps deck by a lot. So yeah, maybe we will see some more Lunalight Liger Dancer in the future. So yeah, we can all be happy and lose against Liger Dancer. That's a good thing. No, it's not a good thing, obviously, but this just got stronger, right? So this was a good list for Lunalight. And another deck that did not receive any hit and will be a huge winner and way better in the future is the Superqantum deck. As you can see, this is one older list. This deck is still the engine is like still 0 points. They can still play full hand traps like Droll, Fuvalos, Nibiru, because Nibiru even got cheaper now, and also yeah, Ogre got cheaper. So also they can maybe still play like some more stronger cards now in the side deck. They can still play Zeus, they can still play Typhon, so this deck got way stronger. And a huge thing is that no more Flying Sea, right? Flying Sea got removed out of a lot of side decks because it's now 21 points to play Flying Sea, and just siding for 21 points is I don't think is really good idea. So this deck really benefits from not playing into Flying Sea the game 3 in game 3 and 2. So yeah, we can also now see some more Superqantum Mech King Great Magnus Tower. Yeah, you don't have to search, unaffected. Also, on top of that, a lot of hand traps. That's a super bad thing. I don't think this is a good thing, but we have this as a winner of the ban list. So this is now the just the analysis of the format, what got changed, what won, what lost in this list. But yeah, I think Superqantum is a winner of this points list, and yeah, leave me down in the comments your opinion about the points list, also about the analysis, and if I missed some decks, and what do you think got stronger, what do you think got weaker from the points list, and how the overall meta will change up. And also maybe consider subscribing, it would be really cool for me. And yeah, I really like to be a YouTube partner in the future, and it would be really helping if you just press the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.